Breaking news from the Australian Open, Alexandra Eala has just won her match in a stunning upset, becoming the first qualifier to reach the quarterfinals in the tournament's history.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What we are discussing today has nothing to do with a tennis match. No trophy lift, no break point, no forehand winner. What we are discussing is a seismic, unexpected, and frankly remarkable shift in the attention economy of professional sports, one that took place this week at Melbourne Park, first quietly, and then in a way that nobody in the sport could ignore. If you look at the official scoreboard from the 2026 Australian Open, the straightforward facts are right there. Alex Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino prodigy, lost in the first round. American Alicia Parks defeated her in 3 sets. Eala packed her bags. She booked a flight back to Manila. By every conventional measure, her tournament was over before it truly began, a footnote in the draw rather than a story. But we no longer live in a conventional world. We live in the attention economy. And in the attention economy, the only currency that actually determines a player's trajectory as a superstar is not a scoreline. It is the size of the conversation surrounding them. And by that measure, Alex Eala did not lose at the Australian Open. She consumed it. Consider a single number. One figure that has left tournament directors, sponsors, and commentators completely unable to explain what they are looking at. In the lead-up to the tournament, the Australian Open's official YouTube channel posted press conference videos featuring the biggest names in the sport. We are talking about genuine icons. Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, and, of course, Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 2, the reigning champion, the dominant force in women's tennis, and one of the most recognized athletes on the planet. For a pre-match press conference featuring a player of that stature, the expectation would be substantial viewership. That is simply the baseline when you are dealing with the defending Grand Slam champion. Here is the rewritten version. Sabalenka's press conference video received a respectable 8,000 views on its first day. Now consider the press conference held by Alexandra Eala, a player who had never competed in an Australian Open main draw match before, a player who was not among the top seeds, a player the tournament had assigned to an outside court as though she were just another name in the draw. Her video received 171,000 views.
Sit with that for a moment.
8,000 versus 171,000. That is not a rounding error. That is not a slight advantage. That is a gap of over 2,000%. The kind of statistical disparity that does not just stand out on a graph. It shatters one. After examining those numbers, one of the sport's most respected journalists, Ben Rothenberg, asked a question that would have seemed completely absurd just 2 years ago. Is Alex Eala already the most popular female tennis player in the world? Think about how extraordinary that question is. She has not won a Grand Slam. She has not broken into the top 10. And yet she is already outperforming the reigning queens of the sport in the digital space, the very space that determines Nike contracts, sponsorship deals, and television ratings. Something broke in Melbourne this week. The unwritten rule that says fame must follow success, that you earn attention by winning trophies, collapsed the moment Alex Eala walked onto court 6. Because what happened on that court was not a tennis match. It was a pilgrimage. It was a cultural coronation. It was something the sport had genuinely never seen before. The tournament organizers made a significant miscalculation. They treated her like a routine qualifier. They placed her on court 6, a small outdoor court designed for quiet, low-profile matches, the kind of court where you can usually hear the squeak of shoes on hard surface because the crowds are sparse and the atmosphere is contained. They were trying to fit a tsunami into a bathtub, and they had no idea. Melbourne Park was flooded with thousands of Filipino supporters. They were not casual spectators filling seats. They stacked 10 rows deep against the barriers. They packed every square foot of standing room. They produced the kind of noise more commonly associated with a World Cup final than a first-round Tuesday afternoon tennis match. The walkways surrounding Court 6 were congested long before Eala had even picked up a racket. Security was deployed not to manage the match, but to manage the thousands of people simply trying to catch a glimpse of a 20-year-old hitting a yellow ball. This is the tennis equivalent of the Manny Pacquiao effect. For decades, Pacquiao's fights caused the streets of Manila to fall silent and the country to hold its collective breath. With Eala, We are watching the earliest stages of the same phenomenon taking shape. For her supporters, she is not simply an athlete. She is an expression of national identity. Now we have to address the controversy, because no honest account of what happened at Court 6 can avoid it. Tennis is a sport built on a particular culture of etiquette. Polite applause when a point is won, respectful silence during play, and an absolute, unwritten law that you never celebrate an opponent's error. The crowd on Court 6 did not observe that rulebook. When Alycia Parks double faulted, there were cheers. When she missed a shot into the net, there were roars. What Parks faced that day was not simply an opponent across the net. She was playing an away match in a hostile environment, competing not just against Eala, but against an entire wall of sound that wanted her to fail. Parks acknowledged afterward that it was challenging. That may be the most diplomatic understatement of the Australian Open. The tennis world has been divided ever since. Traditionalists argue that what happened violated the fundamental decorum that makes tennis what it is. Modernists counter that the sport has been half asleep for years, and that the energy on Court 6 was exactly what tennis needs to compete for attention in a world also occupied by the NBA and the Premier League. Both sides have a point. What happened was raw, and not always respectful. It was also undeniably, electrically alive in a way that many center court matches simply are not. The match itself told a fascinating story of momentum, pressure, and experience. Eala came out with complete authority. She won the first set 6-0. Against a top 100 professional like Alycia Parks, winning a set 6-0 is not a fluke. It is total domination. Eala was reading Parks' serve, moving the ball into the corners, feeding off the crowd's energy, playing tennis that looked effortless. 45 minutes in, the second round seemed inevitable. Then the match changed. Parks steadied herself. She began finding her spots. She started deploying the powerful serve that is among the most effective weapons in her game. And Eala, who had been playing with the freedom of an underdog, suddenly had something to protect. When the crowd is screaming your name and you are winning 6-0, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer playing loose. You have something to lose. Unforced errors began to appear. First serve percentages dropped. Eala lost the second set 6-3 and the third set 6-2. She was beaten. But here is the critical realization. It barely mattered. When a highly hyped prospect loses in the first round, the narrative usually collapses. Sponsors pull back. The media moves on. The story evaporates. What happened with Eala was the opposite. The loss seemed to fuel the conversation rather than end it. Because the story was never really about whether she could dominate a first-round match. It was about her presence. Her potential was demonstrated by how she began. Her youth was demonstrated by how she finished. And through all of it, the crowd never left. They stayed to the final point. They chanted her name while she was losing. That distinction matters more than people realize. A good player has supporters when they win. An icon has an army even when they bleed. Back to the YouTube numbers, because they demand a deeper explanation. Aryna Sabalenka has won the Australian Open twice. She is a ferocious competitor, charismatic, loud, and entertaining. By every conventional measure, she should be the dominant personality at her home Grand Slam. So, why is she losing the attention war to a player ranked 49th in the world? The answer comes down to demographics and what might be called the hero gap. Belarus, Sabalenka's home country, has a population of around 9 million people. The Philippines has 115 million. But the gap is about more than raw numbers. It is about scarcity. In sporting powerhouses like the United States, Spain, or France, fans have an abundance of heroes to choose from. They cycle between them easily. In the Philippines, that kind of representation at the highest level of global sport has been extraordinarily rare. Manny Pacquiao carried that weight for 20 years, the single vessel into which an entire nation poured its sporting hope and national pride. Now that Pacquiao has retired, that energy has been searching for somewhere new to go. It found Alex Eala. She has been chosen. And when Filipinos watch her compete, they are not simply watching a tennis match. They are watching their flag on a stage that has historically ignored them. That is why she is more prominent in Australia this week than the defending champion. Sabalenka is playing for herself and her ranking. Eala is playing for 115 million people who have been waiting decades to be seen. For the WTA, this represents a commercial opportunity of extraordinary scale. Since Serena Williams retired, the tour has struggled to identify its next transcendent personality. The sport's current elite as they are, draws heavily from a narrow Eastern European demographic. Eala opens not just the Philippines, but the entire Southeast Asian market. The sponsors know it. The numbers confirm it. Nobody paying attention to those YouTube statistics is concerned about a first-round loss. The news cycle confirms that Eala has already left Melbourne and is on a flight back to Manila, where she will compete in the inaugural WTA 125 Philippine Women's Open, a tournament that exists in large part because of her. The WTA approved a new event in the Philippines specifically to capitalize on the phenomenon surrounding her. After a difficult loss in Australia, she returns home as a hero, playing in front of her own people, in her own country, at a tournament built around her presence. She will likely win matches. She will rebuild her confidence. She will reinforce the foundation beneath everything being built around her. But the warning signs are real and worth acknowledging. The Anna Kournikova parallel exists for a reason. There is a documented history of players becoming global celebrities before becoming genuine champions, and the weight of that fame, the photo commitments, the media obligations, the pressure of representing an entire nation has derailed promising careers before. Eala currently carries the fame of a world number 1 while possessing the ranking of a top 50 player. The next 12 months will be the most important of her career. The distance between those two realities needs to close. In sports, we typically define arrival as conquest. A player arrives when they lift a Grand Slam trophy. They arrive when they break into the top 10. We tie the concept of arrival to winning. But Alex Eala has quietly rewritten that definition. To arrive is to make people stop. To arrive is to turn a first-round loss on a side court into the defining event of an entire Grand Slam. To arrive is to generate 171,000 views on a press conference video, while the defending champion generates 8,000. There were 128 women in the Australian Open draw. One of them will lift the trophy when the tournament concludes. But on Monday night, on a packed, roaring, overflowing Court 6, the trophy was beside the point. What mattered was not who held the silverware. What mattered was who held the crowd. The 171,000 people who watched her press conference were not clicking for a winner. They were clicking because they wanted to hear her. Because she is no longer simply a tennis player. She is a movement. She is representation. She is, by any measurable standard, the most talked about player in Australia this week, despite not winning a single match. The era is not approaching. It is already here. The victories will.